The auditorium lights dimmed, leaving a soft amber glow over hundreds of faces waiting in hushed anticipation. The smell of dust and stage paint hung heavy in the air. For most of the students at Ridgeway High, it was just another talent show, a chance to laugh, to cheer, to escape the monotony of classes. But for Ethan Cole, sitting alone backstage, it was something else entirely. His hands trembled as he clutched his guitar, the same one his dad had given him before leaving 3 years ago. He wasn't just about to perform. He was about to face the people who had made his life unbearable. Ethan wasn't the kind of kid anyone noticed, at least, not for the right reasons. He was tall but thin, with dark hair that often fell over his glasses. His voice cracked when he spoke, his clothes were never quite in style, and his love for music made him an easy target for mockery. Every hallway at Ridgeway echoed with whispers and laughter that weren't meant to be kind. Nerd, loser, emo boy, words that sank deep into his chest, echoing longer than any melody he played at home. Still, there was something they didn't know. Every night, when the world grew quiet, Ethan would take his old guitar and play. He'd strum the strings softly, whispering lyrics he wrote himself, songs about pain, loss, hope, and the small light that still burned somewhere inside him. Music was his escape, his secret friend, his therapy. It was the only thing that kept him from giving up entirely. The idea of performing had started as a dare. "Come on, Cole," one of the bullies, Tyler Briggs, had sneered. "Why don't you play your sad little songs for everyone at the talent show? Let's see if you can cry in front of the whole school." The others laughed, and something inside Ethan snapped. Maybe it was defiance. Maybe it was exhaustion. But that night, he signed up. He didn't tell anyone. Not his mom, who worked double shifts at the diner. Not even his one friend, Maya, who always sat beside him in English class and defended him whenever the teasing got too harsh. Now, backstage, as he listened to the other acts, dancers, comedians, singers, his stomach twisted. His name was near the end of the list. He could leave right now, walk away, and no one would care. But something stronger than fear anchored him to the chair. He thought of his mom's tired smile, of the nights he'd sat alone in his room wishing someone, anyone, would understand. Maybe tonight, he could make them understand. Next up, the host announced, his voice echoing across the gymnasium, Ethan Cole. The laughter was immediate. It rippled through the crowd like a cruel wave. Someone even whispered loudly, "This should be good." Ethan swallowed hard, feeling his throat tighten as he stepped onto the stage. The spotlight hit his face, blinding and hot. He adjusted the microphone with shaking hands, and for a moment, no sound came. Just silence, thick, suffocating silence. Then, quietly, he spoke. "This song is for anyone who's ever felt like they don't belong." The first notes trembled out, soft as a heartbeat. His fingers stumbled once, but then something changed. As the melody unfolded, the trembling stopped. The audience's whispers faded. His voice, fragile at first, began to rise, honest, aching, real. It wasn't a polished performance. There were no flashy chords or big lights. Just a boy and his guitar, pouring his soul into every lyric. Greater than, they said I was nothing, just noise in the hall. But I found a voice when I had no one at all. You tried to break me, but I learned to sing. Now these scars are my wings. A few people in the crowd exchanged glances. The same ones who used to laugh at him now sat still, their smirks fading. Even Tyler, slouched in the third row with his arms crossed, felt something twist inside him. He remembered the day they tripped Ethan in the cafeteria, the way Ethan had quietly picked up his tray and walked away without a word. Back then, Tyler hadn't cared. But now, hearing him sing, really sing, it felt different. When Ethan hit the chorus, his voice cracked, but instead of faltering, it grew stronger. He closed his eyes and sang with everything inside him, the loneliness, the humiliation, the hope. His words carried years of silence. The auditorium that once mocked him now listened in reverent stillness. Halfway through, he opened his eyes and saw Maya standing near the back. She was crying. Not out of pity, but pride. Their eyes met, and in that instant, Ethan wasn't alone anymore. The final note lingered in the air like a prayer. For a long moment, no one moved. Then someone clapped. Then another. And suddenly, the whole auditorium was on its feet, cheering, shouting his name. The same people who had laughed at him were now wiping tears from their eyes. Ethan froze, unable to process what was happening. It wasn't triumph he felt, it was release. The weight he'd carried for so long seemed to lift, replaced by something bright and light. After the show, as students filed out, people he'd never spoken to came up to him. "Hey man, that was amazing. I didn't know you could sing like that." Even Tyler approached him, awkwardly scratching the back of his neck. "Hey, listen, I've been a jerk. I'm sorry, dude." Ethan didn't say anything at first. Then he smiled faintly. "Thanks," he said simply. Not forgiveness, not bitterness, just peace. That night, when he got home, his mom was sitting at the kitchen table. She looked up, exhausted as always, but when she saw his face, she knew something had changed. "How was it, honey?" she asked. Ethan set down his guitar. "It was everything." She smiled softly. "I'm proud of you." He hesitated. "You should have been there, Mom." They listened. Tears welled in her eyes. "I think your dad would have been proud too." He nodded, his throat tight. "I think so." Over the next few weeks, something extraordinary happened. People started talking to Ethan, not to mock, but to connect. A few students even asked him to teach them guitar. The school newspaper ran an article about his performance titled, "The Boy Who Found His Voice." Teachers complimented him, classmates smiled in the hallways. But the best part wasn't the recognition, it was the realization that the world could change when one person decided to stand up and speak their truth. Months passed, and Ethan's life slowly transformed. He started writing more songs, performing at local coffee shops, uploading covers online. His music began reaching people far beyond Ridgeway. Messages poured in from strangers who had been bullied, broken, or silenced, people who said his song gave them courage. But one message stood out. It was from Tyler. Greater than, "Hey Ethan, I don't know if you'll even read this, but I wanted to say thank you. After that night, I realized how much damage I'd done, not just to you, but to others too. I've started volunteering at the youth center, trying to make things right. Your song, it changed me." Ethan stared at the screen for a long time. He thought about all the pain, all the moments he'd wished to disappear, and how, somehow, they had led to this. He typed back simply. "Greater than, thanks for listening." A year later, Ridgeway High invited Ethan back to perform at graduation. This time, the lights didn't scare him. As he stepped onto the stage, his guitar in hand, the auditorium erupted in applause before he even played a note. He smiled, genuinely, freely, and began a new song, one filled not with pain, but gratitude. Greater than, we rise from the shadows we once feared to face, and find our strength in the scars we embrace. You can take my silence, you can take my pain, but you'll never take my song again. As the final note faded, everyone, teachers, parents, students, stood together, clapping, cheering, crying. And for the first time in his life, Ethan felt what it meant to be seen, not for his flaws, but for his heart. Epilogue. Years later, Ethan Cole's story would be told again and again, not as a tale of fame, but of courage. He never became a superstar, but his songs continued to reach people who needed them most. He often visited schools to talk about bullying, sharing his journey not with anger, but with empathy. One day, during a school visit, a shy girl came up to him after his talk. "Mr. Cole," she said softly, "I get bullied too. But when I heard your song online, I decided not to give up." "Thank you." Ethan knelt down, smiling kindly. "Don't thank me," he said. "Thank yourself for staying strong. The world needs your voice too." As she walked away, he looked out at the crowd of young faces, nervous, uncertain, but full of potential, and realized something profound. The boy who had once been silenced had become a voice for others. And in that moment, he knew, every scar, every insult, every lonely night had led him here, to a stage not of fame, but of purpose. Because sometimes, the most beautiful songs are born from the deepest pain. And sometimes, one brave voice is enough to silence 1,000 cruel ones. Moral. Greater than, never underestimate the power of kindness, or the courage it takes to be yourself. One act of bravery can transform hearts, heal wounds, and remind the world that even in its harshest corners, humanity still sings.